So, for those of you who don't live in this particular geographical zone, the red-winged blackbird is a very territorial bird, and the males harass people who come anywhere near the nest. But they're common, these birds, throughout the city, so you might encounter them just outside in a park or in a river valley or anywhere. Or here I'm in Downsview Park. Uh, the other day I was biking and this red-winged blackbird buzzed by my head. You hear it makes kind of a weird sound and you know that sound is what it makes as it's gliding in within a few feet of your head. And usually, as far as I know, it's that they never actually come into contact. Maybe someone else has had that experience, but it's just kind of it is a menacing thing. It's like you don't like to know that this, because the birds have beaks and you don't want to get hit by that thing, but just a very rude thing to do. Very rude bird. Very annoying bird. Of course, the bird itself is jet black with these piercingly red patches on its wings. Obviously, sometimes you just let things go, but on this occasion, there was no one else around, and I remembered the red-winged blackbird, but I went about my business. I went up the hill. I was kind of exploring a bit of the city on my way home. That part of the city I hadn't been before. But on my way back, half an hour later, the same thing, that bird was. And the thing that was egregious was that it doesn't go for you head on. It's like I'm on my bike passing by, my hands are occupied, uh, directing the bike, and this thing is coming at me from that angle, from the side, taking advantage of the situation. It's not facing me directly. So the same thing happened. Now I stopped my bike and I went over silently, just looking at this bird. And then now the bird is further feet back in the bushes of these trees. It's kind of like a tree line now, on the side of a slope. And I could just making these different sounds, two frequencies of sounds, not the strange buzzing sound it makes when it's about to dive in to your head, but these other two frequencies, and alternating between them and making commotion and moving between one branch and another branch, but like not, I couldn't even basically see the bird, and it wasn't coming at me. Now, okay, hello, seems we have an issue here. The bird is dumb. Why is this bird alive? Like, why does this bird exist? Like, this behavior would encourage a predator or something that could actually harm it to take an interest in it and find out about it, unless you're prepared to directly attack and kill. Well, okay, I don't, who knows? I'm not a biologist. I don't study birds. I'm sure there's an answer, but it does seem to me a very dumb bird. It's an annoying bird, and in this situation and in many situations, the red-winged blackbird wants to claim that it's attacking you and frighten soft people. But if you actually confront the bird, generally speaking, you find that it's like the small little man behind the curtain blowing himself up to be this big thing, and it's actually like a disadvantage for their species. So I looked at the bird, or at least in its direction, and stared and was watching its behavior for about a minute. And then I was like, well, I need to make a point before I leave. I need to make a point. Something needs to be understood here by the bird. I'm sure the bird can understand some things that a human does. And I was like, well, there's no objects around. Oh, look, just literally a few feet from where I was standing was like a wooden plank. It's maybe I don't know, maybe 30 inches long. Not that long. It wasn't that big. Maybe a few inches wide. It was just nothing too substantial, but something you could throw. It was perfect. And I picked it up and I heaved it as hard as I could and as fast as I could in the direction of where I now saw the bird. And of course, I didn't come anywhere close to hitting it, but I was aiming in its general direction. I was theoretically hoping to possibly hit the bird. I wouldn't have had a moral problem with that. But I didn't expect, the chances of that happening would be like firing a musket into an arena and hoping to hit a snowman from 500 yards. In other words, it's a crapshoot. So, but you know, the bird. Then there was more commotion. Then the family members of that bird were now activated, and they were in the area, and they were all squawking away. And so then I made my leave, and my leave was going further down a hill, and I was looking back behind me to see if they would attack me on the way down after what I just did now. And I almost got in an accident myself because I was turning my head around and there was a very sharp curve and a very steep slope. And I almost went off into the bushes, which would have been, I would have fallen off the path into the bushes, would have injured myself. That would have been not a nice thing to happen if I went off that road at that speed. But no, it didn't happen. That didn't happen. So that was my story about red-winged blackbirds. People love animals too easily. A lot of birds are quite annoying, but birds are wonderful creation of God. It's just you need to know the place that they're in. And Canada geese, I could talk about that in another video, but Canada geese suck. They're not good birds. Neither are swans. All these aquatic birds that people like to photograph, bad birds. Some of the most beautiful birds, you find out it's just an annoying bird. It's nothing too special. Hasta luego, amigos.